A king, a queen who could crush armies, a mistress hidden in a secret labyrinth, and a love triangle so toxic it ended in murder. This is the true story of Henry II's twisted love life, and trust me, it's darker than any royal drama you've ever seen. Medieval England wasn't just about knights and castles. Behind the throne of one of history's most powerful kings lurked a scandal so explosive it nearly tore the kingdom apart. Henry II, ruler of England and half of France, had everything: power, wealth, and empire. But he wanted more, and what he wanted would cost him everything. Let me take you back to 1152. Henry marries Eleanor of Aquitaine, the most powerful woman in Europe. She's 11 years older, stunningly intelligent, and comes with half of France as her dowry. On paper, it's the power couple of the medieval world. In reality, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Eleanor wasn't some docile medieval wife. She'd already been married to the King of France and divorced him, practically unheard of in the 12th century. She was politically savvy, fiercely independent, and had her own army. Henry knew exactly what he was getting into. Or so he thought. The first years, passionate, explosive. They had 8 children together, including the future kings Richard the Lionheart and John. But here's where it gets interesting. While Eleanor was busy bearing heirs and managing territories, Henry's eyes started wandering. And when I say wandering, I mean sprinting. Henry didn't just have one mistress. He had a parade of them. But most were fleeting. Noblewomen, servants, anyone who caught his fancy. Medieval chroniclers whispered about his carnal appetites and his inability to control his lust. One monk wrote that Henry was enslaved by his passions. But all of these affairs were just warm-ups for the main event. Enter Rosamund Clifford. Around 1165, when Henry was in his 30s and Eleanor was pushing 50, he met Rosamund. She was young, beautiful, and reportedly so stunning that she was called Rosamundi, Rose of the World, and Henry became absolutely obsessed. But here's where it gets genuinely weird. Henry didn't just keep Rosamund as a discreet side piece. He built her a house. Not just any house, a secret palace in the middle of a labyrinth at Woodstock, one of his royal estates. According to legend, the maze was so complex that only Henry knew the way through it. He would disappear for days, telling his court he was hunting or conducting business, when really he was living a double life with Rosamund in their hidden love nest. Think about the psychology here. This is the King of England, one of the most powerful men in the world, and he's sneaking around like a teenager, hiding a relationship from his parents. Except his parent was Eleanor of Aquitaine, and she was nobody's fool. Eleanor knew. Of course she knew. By the late 1160s, rumors of Fair Rosamund were spreading across England and France. Court gossips whispered about the king's secret mistress. But what could Eleanor do? She was trapped by medieval politics. Divorce wasn't an option. She'd already done that once, and it had caused a massive political crisis. Killing Rosamund would be murder. So Eleanor waited and plotted. If you're hooked on this twisted royal drama, make sure you subscribe to History's Dark Ledger for more scandalous stories from the past. Hit that like button if you're enjoying this tale of betrayal and obsession. Now, back to the story, because it's about to get even darker. By 1173, Eleanor had had enough. not just of the affair, but of Henry's entire reign. She encouraged their sons, Henry the young king, Richard and Geoffrey, to rebel against their father. This wasn't just a family squabble. This was civil war. And what was Henry doing during this ultimate betrayal? Still visiting Rosamund, still pretending his secret life could continue while his legitimate family was literally trying to overthrow him. The rebellion failed. Henry captured Eleanor and imprisoned her, not in a dungeon, but in comfortable captivity in various castles, where she would remain for 16 years. 16 years. Think about that. The most powerful woman in Europe, locked away while her husband continued his affair. Now here's where the story gets truly dark, and where legend and history blur together in the most chilling way. Around 1176, Rosamund Clifford died. The official story: she retired to a nunnery at Godstow and died of natural causes, possibly illness. She was buried there with great honor, and Henry paid for masses to be said for her soul. He was apparently devastated. But the legends tell a different story. According to popular tales that emerged shortly after her death, Eleanor discovered the secret to Henry's labyrinth. She found Rosamund in her hidden palace and gave her a choice: drink poison or be stabbed to death. Rosamund chose the poison and died in agony. Now, did this actually happen? Probably not. Eleanor was under house arrest at the time, making it logistically impossible. But the fact that people immediately believed she did it tells you everything about how the public viewed this scandal. They wanted Eleanor to have her revenge. They needed it. The truth is likely simpler, but no less tragic. Rosamund probably did enter the convent, possibly pressured by church officials, scandalized by the affair. Medieval convents were harsh places, especially for women who'd lived in luxury. She may have genuinely died of illness, heartbroken and abandoned as Henry's political situation became too precarious to continue the relationship openly. But Henry never forgot her. In a move that scandalized the church, he had Rosamund's tomb placed in the center of the choir at Godstow Abbey, covered in silk and surrounded by candles, as if she were a saint. Pilgrims began visiting her grave, treating her like a holy relic. The Bishop of Lincoln was horrified. In 1191, he ordered her remains removed from the choir, declaring it was disgraceful to honor an adulteress in such a way. She was reburied outside the church in unconsecrated ground. Henry died in 1189, bitter and alone, having been betrayed by his sons again. His last words were curses against his children. Eleanor was finally released from imprisonment and would outlive him by 15 years, wielding power once more. So what's the real scandal here? It's not just that Henry had an affair. Medieval kings had affairs all the time. It's the obsession, the secret labyrinth, the complete abandonment of political wisdom for passion. Henry risked his marriage to the most powerful woman in Europe, enabled a civil war with his own sons, and ultimately destroyed his family, all for a woman he couldn't have publicly. Rosamund became a legend, romanticized as a tragic beauty, demonized as a homewrecker, and remembered long after Henry's legitimate children were forgotten by popular culture. For centuries, poets wrote about Fair Rosamund. Lovers visited the ruins of her labyrinth, and her story became the ultimate medieval tale of forbidden love. But here's the thing about forbidden love when you're a king. There's always a body count. Whether Rosamund was poisoned by an angry queen or died alone in a convent, Her fate was sealed the moment Henry became obsessed with her. And Eleanor, the brilliant, powerful queen, spent 16 years in prison, not for any crime except being married to a man who couldn't control his desires. That's the weird, dark truth about Henry II's sex life. It wasn't just scandalous. It was destructive, obsessive, and ultimately tragic for everyone involved. What do you think? Was Rosamund murdered, or did she die of a broken heart? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more dark, twisted history like this, subscribe to History's Dark Ledger. We're digging up the scandals they don't teach in school.